Hey, so here's yet another flute we're putting on this week. We're putting a whole batch on here right away because we haven't had time to do it as we're filling orders. So this flute, if it looks familiar to you, I had two of these almost identical in the workshop, and we did a little video on YouTube um, last week asking you all if you wanted to have one custom made in this particular scale that you wanted. We had some inquiries, but none of you committed to it. So I decided to make a custom piece special for small hands and, well, small hands. You know, I sometimes will say women because my wife in particular, as you've seen, she's been on the scene quite a bit and she's been doing a lot of our videos, and she's been really vocal to me about how she can't cover the pinky. She's got this tiny little pinky, and it's not only that it's tiny, it's that just the way her hand is. You see how short my pinky is? Well, her pinky is almost as long as her ring finger, and so that can pose a little bit of a comfort issue, and she has to bend her finger in like this oftentimes, and then there's no way that she can get the pad to cover those bigger pinky holes. And so she's been talking about that. And since we didn't customize a flute to a customer, I actually asked her to come into the shop and to create this. This is one of our famous flutes, the E8-hole Aeolian Alternating Drone. And I purposely make holes larger on Aeolians because then you get this extended high octave range and all of this stuff. However, I decided to make this flute catered to the smaller hands and the smaller fingers. So instead of focusing on an extended high octave range, I raised the holes up a bit, made them quite a bit smaller, and now the alternating hole can be covered by most anybody's pinky. And we kind of offset the finger holes here. So do you see how the ring finger moves in this way, and this pinky hole moves a little closer this way? That what is that? That brings the fingers closer together. So there's less of a distance between the two, and it's easier to cover. Really comfortable right there for me, okay? And my wife can play this. This is probably the first alternating drone. Even the little smaller ones, even a key of B or whatever, still have a large pinky hole on some of those Native American style flute scales, you know, the NAF minor scales that we make and that are the more common Native American style flute scale. There's really no way to make that hole super small. But on the Aeolians, because it isn't quite as high in pitch, I think it's what do they call that? The fourth instead of the fifth in the scale. So that means that the hole can be smaller and be in the right position. Not that you need to know all of that. You need to know that it sounds really good, and it's catered to you. If you've had small hands, if you've tried one of these and the holes were too large, this flute's for you. If you've been thinking about getting one of the 8-hole alternating drones, which this again doesn't have the thumb hole, I can put it in there for you if you want to, but I wanted to cater specifically to people that have smaller hands and that really felt like the larger holes and all of that were too cumbersome and too difficult to play. I wanted to keep it more simple. And so this one's for you. I do want to point out before I play it that what happens when you customize things like this, because this hole is smaller and there's not a whole lot of air going through, you know, this note is the same as this note, but this note actually has more air coming out of all of these holes, so the volume is increased. So by reducing the size of this hole, it also reduces the volume. So you have to keep in mind that there's some things as a flute maker that you just can't do. I can't tell you how many people say, I want a bass tone, but I want a close finger spread, or I want a bass tone and I want really small holes. Some of that, you know, can be manipulated, but only slightly. And one of the things happen is that the smaller the holes, especially on the single hole on the drone barrel, it's going to reduce the volume. So it's going to be a little bit more subtle of a sound as you're playing it as a drone flute. just thought I'd point that out. But this thing sounds really nice. It's solid all the way through. Beautiful, beautiful piece of Purple Heart. The spalted maple looks amazing, you know. It's got the wenge accent bands here. The spalt in here is really cool. You just gotta love the black streaks that happen in spalted maple. It is just really, really cool looking. So a gorgeous, gorgeous wood combination. It's got some weight to it, something to keep in mind. But, you know, it's not horrible by any means, and it definitely, the weight of the mouthpiece being a little heavier, actually, because it's in your mouth, it offsets the weight towards the bottom of the flute, so that helps too. But I can handle it just fine, and my wife was able to play it, and like I said, we customized it, so this is for you. Anybody can buy this flute, but this is for you if you have small hands, if you have, or if you have small fingers, you know, you don't like big holes. We made this for you. Okay, I'll play it real quick. Nice rich tone, solid all the way through the scale. And it actually still does have a pretty decent high octave register. Again, we shrank the hole, so we're not focused on that as much, but you can always play around with it. And then the drone note. So again, it's going to be a little quieter on the drone side, but when played with the melody, it sounds sweet. Okay, here we go. Okay, and I will add, again, I said this earlier, but I can add a thumb hole upon request. So if you see this flute, reach out. There could be two available. One is waiting for just a teensy bit more time for one of the guys that might have wanted a custom piece. But I think we'll have two of these, and I will customize it for the small hands, okay? And a thumb hole can be added upon request. That will bring some more complication to it, but we already have in our favor offset finger holes, small holes, and an ergonomic fit here, and so the thumb hole should be easier as well, and smaller. No guarantees. You know where to find us. Reach out if you like it. Give us a thumbs up if you like it.